Hello and welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, where every week we bring you a program about innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. I'm excited to be presiding over our first meeting of the Rotary year. Yeah! You may be tuning into this meeting during also July 4th week, which is of course our Independence Day for America. So happy Independence Week. My name is Mitty Chang. I am currently the president of the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, no longer president-elect. Very excited. I'm really excited to be hosting this call, and we'll introduce our speaker, Kitty, shortly. But first, let me go ahead and try to catch everyone on the call and introduce them really quick. And in no particular order at all, we have Wolf on the call from District 130. He is district governor for that district. We have Jermaine on the call, who is from the Rotary Club of LA5. We have Steve on the call from the Rotary Club up in Seattle, the Bellevue Breakfast Club, I believe. And he's also our zone membership chair for zones 25 and 26. We have Christy from Missoula, Montana. Christy is the membership nerd of the Pacific Northwest. She's been involved with Rotary for a while and speaks on the Rotary speaking circuit, and she is also a prospective member for our club. Next to Christy, we have Yvonne. Yvonne is one of our charter members here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Yvonne's an educator. We have Elsa on the call. Elsa's from Oklahoma. She's a director. She's awesome. We have Alan on the call. He's our club treasurer. We have Russian on the call, who is our charter president and outgoing club president. So by the time you hear this, he's past president. Very exciting. We also have Brian on the call, who's one of our club members. Brian's in the Bay Area. Brian. And next to Brian, we have Matthew, who is a road director in the Cayman Islands. I think he's transitioning into I also hear someone who's kind of loud on the call. Can't really this person. We also have Chris on the call. Hey, Chris. Chris is one of our club officers, and he is from Canada. Woo! If you ever have questions about video production and how to raise money by video, Chris is your man to talk to. We also have Ryan, who just joined us. So Ryan Clements is out in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Ryan is also a past president for his Rotary Club, and he's also serving as the youth chair for the Rotary International Convention in Atlanta, Georgia next year. So he's on the Rotary Host Committee for Atlanta. We also have Henry on this call. Hey, Henry, how's it going? Just gonna go ahead and hit mute on everyone. And without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce to everyone Kitty. Kitty is the International Director for Interact District 5170. She's been working passionately to lead the district in raising both awareness for human trafficking and funds for nonprofits. As a travel fanatic, Kitty has already explored multiple continents in her pursuit to serve others, and will soon be embarking on a trip to Haiti to learn even more. Besides travel and service, Kitty hopes to continue growing in the photography community and to eventually become a narrative film director. She's also, I believe, going to become a freshman at the University of California, Los Angeles pretty soon. So without anything else, let's give it up for Kitty. And if you haven't already, go ahead and change your view to speaker view. Kitty, take it away.
Thank you, and I'd like to first off just thank everyone for tuning in and just listening to me and what I have to say, and also thank you, Mitty, for coordinating this for everyone. And so, as he said, I am a part of Interact District 5170, which is a district in the Bay Area, and we cover about 110, 120 different Interact clubs. And so Interact is basically a club, if you don't know yet, for high schoolers around ages 14 to 18 who engage in community service and also just to learn more about social issues. And so on our district council, I serve as the international coordinator. And what that means is that every year, Interact has a different international cause that we are raising awareness for and raising funds for. And so I'm in charge of organizing and selecting that project along with the rest of my team. And also just throughout the year, creating events for it, encouraging our students to continue learning about it and just doing more for that cause. And so this year, I'm very proud to introduce our project called Hello, My Name Is, and it's all about human trafficking. And so one of the first things I'd like to share is one of the videos that we produced and presented to about 4,500 interactors at one of our biggest conferences called the Fall Leadership Conference back in October. And so right now I'm going to screen share and just share that video with everyone. Okay, so that is one of the videos that we present to all our interactors just to introduce the project at the very beginning of the year. And so one of the biggest questions that we get is, why human trafficking? Why does a bunch of teenagers want to tackle such a large and scary issue? Because when we think about it, we're talking about people being forced to do things that they do not want to do, whether it be sex or forced labor, and that's a pretty controversial and intimidating topic for a bunch of high schoolers to go tackle. And so that is exactly why we decided to choose this project, because the victims are actually around our age. But statistically, it's been shown that the most popular age for people to get trafficked is ages 12 to 13. So those are around junior high schoolers. So they would be younger than all the high schoolers in our organization. And for us to hear that kids younger than us are being forced into a life out in who knows where, away from their families, forcing to do these things, that really impacted us and made us want to take on this project. And simply just after showing this video at our conference, we got an incredible reaction from the crowd where students actually came up to me and would tell me how they started crying or how they've heard of this before, but they didn't really know what it was, and they're glad that now they have a chance to learn more. And that passion has been shown simply just throughout our district, from all our clubs hosting campaigns and service events and fundraisers, because at first we began with our own district-led campaigns. And so we would do things encouraging students online to post a picture with a piece of black tape over their mouth, showing that they stand in silence with the victims who have been silenced, and also just to share information, whether it be facts or stories or news articles and things like that, just to educate the public, because we believe that the first step towards actually changing an issue is understanding it. And so although we primarily work with 3 international organizations and 1 local one, we've actually worked with about 20 different organizations this year. And the reason for that is because this issue itself is so broad. There's so many different aspects that people can work from, and we wanted to provide the most number of opportunities for our interactors to learn about it. So we worked with local law enforcement, just speaking to the police, asking them how it was out there actually trying to break these rings and what it was like and what they were struggling with. And also working with nonprofits, whether it be about the restoration side afterwards for the victims and the survivors, or for the prevention side before anything even happened. And so we were trying to target just every area of focus so that we can fully comprehensively understand this issue. And so some of the things that we did is we created about 300 care packages for local juvenile centers and medical centers, and we donated them to the organization that would be able to distribute all of these. And in there we included things just like little notebooks, pens, just some toiletries and things like that. And on top we had a sticker that said, "Hello, my name is," and then we would write things like beautiful or inspiring and just motivating words so that they can feel like during the holiday season that someone out there cared for them. And then something else we did was a giant clothes collection drive just across our district, collecting both used and new clothes. And so we just created and organized a bunch of these events because every single time we organized one, we were learning more. And so, for example, with our clothing drive, the reason why we did it is because we worked with the Grateful Garment Organization, and they taught us that actually when victims go through the sexual assault facility and they're examined and everything like that, they come out wearing a disposable hospital gown. And so we wanted to collect these clothes so that the Grateful Garment could package them into backpacks and give them to these survivors so that afterwards they had some sort of identity left and they can go pick up the other pieces, because we didn't want them to just leave a place wearing something that can easily be thrown away. And one of the largest events that we were able to host this year is called Puzzle Pieces. And so that happened in early April. And what we did is we invited 15 different organizations to come to one of our schools. And we set up a whole booth section where these different organizations can just put up posters and information and things like that. And then when we began the main event, it was just having everyone be in the theater, and all the organizations would have some representative, whether it be the founder or just a volunteer, come and speak about what they were doing. And so we started with all different topics of human trafficking, from what is trafficking, what is sexual exploitation, what is forced labor, all the way to how can you protect yourself, how can you look out for signs for other people. And just throughout this event, we immersed ourselves in just learning more about human trafficking. And it's one of the only events our district put on that was purely just knowledge-based, about just spreading more awareness, giving people the chance to learn about this and learn why our district took on this project. Because when we have a district of about 7,000 to 8,000 students, it's hard for us to fully communicate to them what our impact is, what their money is going to. And so with this event, we hope that we can just provide a glimpse more. And we even had an organization come all the way from New York to speak to us about what they were doing in New York City, and also the founder of one of our partner organizations to tell us stories and to tell us exactly what our money was doing in Romania for the survivors there. And so just throughout the year after that, we continued with our service events and our fundraising, and our goal was $100,000 for this year. And right now we're still in the process of collecting all the money, and since our last checkpoint, we had already raised almost about $85,000, and that was in May. So I'm sure that by now we are actually probably even surpassed our goal. And so that's something that our district is really proud of, and we'll be donating all the money to A21 and Not for Sale. And so that money is being equally distributed in Thailand and Romania. And the reason why we decided to choose these countries out of the many others that they have been working with is because with Thailand, it's already a huge country for human trafficking, especially along Bangkok and just everywhere near the capital, whether it be forced labor for children in the fishing industry or just prostitution and sexual exploitation along the streets. And so we're trying to work with them and get children off the streets. And then with Romania, we asked the organization itself, what country do you need the most help with? And so they told us that Romania is actually a gateway country for trafficking, so it's only becoming a larger and larger issue there. And so we wanted to target that country to hopefully decrease the amount of trafficking before it got worse. And so something with Interact that I personally really appreciate is just the overall atmosphere of it, and how we solely believe in youth empowerment, and we believe that a group of teenagers can do something. Despite our busy schedules, despite everything else we're doing, we take the time to go out and do service, and that's the beauty of it. And so something that Interact also does is really inspires our interactors and students to go out and pursue their own passions. And so we had things throughout this year where a whole area started a mental awareness health event to just share stories about people who are struggling with their own mental disability or just mental health, and encouraging students to reach out to create that support network so that they know that they are not alone in what they are dealing with. And something else is with our community project, we've been focusing on homelessness, and we've been covering a whole wide array of issues. And so that's why I also branched off of Interact, and I created this organization called For Haiti. And so For Haiti is working with another organization called the Joan Rose Foundation. And so what is happening in Haiti is that last summer, thousands of Haitians were being deported from the Dominican Republic to Haiti simply because they didn't have the correct paperwork, or when they were there from the earthquake or were seeking refuge, somehow throughout the process, they weren't able to fully get that official documentation. And so all those people were forced to move back to Haiti. And so I will, along with 3 others this summer in late July, actually travel to Haiti and just work with families there. And we're working with another lady there to create these little workshops for them that ultimately are trying to get the children there to create their own projects and to, if they see an issue, to be able to go take action to help fix it and just give them some sort of an education and a foundation for them to continue growing even after we're gone. And just so throughout the year, we've been raising awareness for the issue in Haiti and also just fundraising for it, because along with our volunteer and service there, we're hoping to donate at least $3,000 to them, to the organization, because they are helping keep the family sustainable by establishing just like co-op fields for the men or microfinance programs for the women, and also just building the children and their education and getting them reintegrated back into society. And so overall, although I'm part of both Interact and For Haiti, I just want to especially thank the Rotarians for always supporting us. I know that my home Rotary Club, they are like one of my biggest fans, and they're my family because I always go visit them and I share stories with them, and they always share stories with me, and they just always are so willing to help support me. And I know that I'm not alone in this. All our interactors like to visit Rotarians and go to their events and just learn more about Rotary. So just thank you for always supporting us and just for taking the time to believe in the youth. And so, Mitty, that wraps up my part of the presentation. If there's anything you want to say or to segue into the Q&A session.
Yeah, well, first, it's like applause. Yay, good job, team. I didn't forget you can hear this. It's like a loud crowd applause. Sounds like good job, Kitty. That was a great presentation, and I'm sure everyone's really thrilled by your presentation. So if you guys are on the call, you can go ahead and swap to gallery view at the top of your screen so you can see everyone. But go ahead and hit raise hand if you have a question, or just shout out something in chat so I know to call on you. But there's a button for raise hand as well, but I see a lot of raised hands going up, so quite a few people. So first off, Rushton, I believe you raised your hand first. If you'd like to ask the first question.
Absolutely. And first of all, Kitty, I hope you know that Rotarians across our district are so very, very proud of everything that interactors are doing. I mean, we understand that we've got the most dynamic Interact program in the world right here. And so it's wonderful to see the kinds of amazing things you do. My question is about Interact and how you kind of transition from high school to college. Are there activities or information sessions or anything like that that help interactors know how to connect with service opportunities and Rotaract clubs or other clubs once they get to college?
Yeah, definitely. So for our Interact district, we host around 3 to 4 different Rotaract stayovers throughout the year. And so that's a time when we do it, especially in our area with Cal. And so they host 2 of them with us, and we do one with University of California, Davis. And so they help just host interactors for a 2-day, 1-night event. And they just talk all about college life, and also specifically Rotaract in college, and just introducing interactors to different Rotaractors and showing them what kind of events they do and things like that. And also, I know that besides what Interact specifically does with Rotaract is that just simply at college orientations themselves, there's a lot of like club weeks and just club booths. And so I know a lot of Rotaract clubs that go out there and just try to speak to more incoming freshmen and tell them about the club and how to join and meeting dates and things like that. Thank you.
Awesome. I think, Christy, you had your hand up as well. If you want to go ahead and ask your question.
I guess my first question is I can't find the raise hand button, so that would be my logistical question. But my question for Kitty, so in the last week or so on social media, I've started seeing this sort of thing crop up about an app called Trafficking, and it's with a K and can't, it's all one word. And it's about basically if you're out traveling and you go into a hotel room or wherever you're staying, you take 4 pictures and it uploads to a database, and they're using that to match it to where people have been held. So do you know anything about this app, and is it effective, or is it still too early to tell? I mean, should you be paying attention to that?
No, yeah, I actually came across multiple articles about that as well, and we shared it with our interactors just because there's such a large group of students there. Hopefully, they can actually go out and do that. And so, we don't necessarily know the impact yet because I believe it's a relatively new app. But I know that from just past like legislative and policy meetings with different officers in like the police department, what they've been telling us is that it's often really difficult for them to go even crack down on where a victim is just simply because they're being moved all the time, and there's things called brothel gangs that are happening where victims are being transported from one place to the other like every week or so, and so it's really difficult for them. And so I do hope that with this app it's easier for them to find people, and I know that motels and hotels themselves are a huge hotspot for trafficking, so that's a good place to target.
Anyone else have any questions? Just go ahead and hit raise hand or raise your hand physically so I can kind of see. And while I'm waiting for extra hands, Kitty, I had a question for you. What's something that, so you guys have been working on this project for the past year, and I think you have a really good perspective on it. And I know that you're passionate about this campaign and also about helping to end human trafficking. So I'm wondering from you, what is something that you either learned over the past year from being international service director, or something that you found surprising that's related to this topic?
Mhm. And so something that I specifically learned myself was to never really box in this issue because I was passing by actually just in Fremont, and so that's kind of like a suburban town in the Bay Area, and I was driving to school and I saw this little utility box on the side of the road, and the utility box was painted as a cardboard box with a hole on one side and a little boy was peeking out, and on the other side a little girl was peeking out, and the words "Stop Human Trafficking" were plastered on the front of the box. And so when I drove by to school, I was saying like, oh, that's awesome. That's like amazing that people in Fremont are caring about this issue, that they're doing something about it. But immediately my next thought was, why post this in Fremont? Like I've never heard of trafficking in Fremont before. Why not post this in a larger city like San Francisco or Oakland, where there's just much more traffic in general, like of people going in and out of that city? And so I spoke to one of the founders of the local organization we're working with, and what she told me is that human trafficking happens everywhere. It just looks different. And so maybe in a poorer community, it could be a waiter that is just slightly too thin in this restaurant and he's working irregular hours and he doesn't even know it. Or in a richer community, it's actually even more hidden because those families want to protect their reputation and everything in that. And so maybe it's like their babysitter getting paid an extra $100 a month to go upstairs for an extra hour. And so it's just human trafficking takes on various forms, and so that's something I really learned from her, just learning that I should not just think, oh, it only happens in developing countries or it only happens to people in this age group. It's really just everyone, every race, every culture, every background, whoever it is. And that's why we're trying to raise awareness for it.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else with questions? Just go ahead and wave at me really quick right now. Okay, I'm going, Chris, go ahead. Thank you for pressing the button too.
It works. You press the button, it does work.
It does.
Kitty, first of all, thank you for a great presentation. I certainly learned something. A couple of questions for you. First of all, that video. How long is it? I didn't note the actual length of the video.
The video is about 3 minutes, 40 seconds.
Any chance you could get it down to about 2 minutes? I ask you because there's a way of monetizing that online that'll raise cash every time it's played.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
you gotta keep it short. By that I mean under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So that's something, if you want to do that, I'll help you get it monetized so that every time somebody watches the darn thing, at least you get a little bit of money out of it.
Okay, yeah. I'll definitely keep that in mind and contact you about that afterwards.
I call it the painless way to fundraise.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ask people for money, you just ask them to watch a video.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, did I hear right in the introduction you're going to UCLA?
Yes, I am.
All right, alumnus.
Awesome, yes.
Theater, film, and television myself, so who knows?
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's my major next year.
Excellent. Thought I liked something about her. Thank you very much. Those are my questions.
No, thank you.
I'll definitely connect you guys by email offline later. Brian, I see you have your hand up. I'm going to let you ask your question. Go ahead.
Very briefly, thank you, Kitty. You know, you got through that entire presentation, I think, without a single or it was beautifully spoken, which is a lot better than I could do it at your age. I'm a trial lawyer in Northern California, and I think you'd be very well suited for that. If you have any interests down the road, you should definitely look into law. I think you'd be a great trial room lawyer.
Thank you. I definitely did like law and considered it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Are there any last questions? If not, we'll go ahead and call the meeting. Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Kitty, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you really quick in just a minute for you to give your last words. And before we do that, though, thank you, everyone, for joining us at the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley this week. Thank you, everyone who's participating with us live for our session right now. About 18 of us right here. Kitty, last words?
No, I just like to say thank you to everyone. I'm only an 18-year-old and I'm trying to learn where I fit in the world, and just having adults actually take the time to listen to me and hear about what Interact is doing really means a lot. And so I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out. And if you don't have my contact information, you can contact Mitty for it. I'm sure he'd be glad to help anyone out.
Perfect. Thank you again, Kitty, for presenting. Her contact information will be shortly available below this video in our meeting. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you go ahead and leave a comment at the bottom of this page and tell us what you thought about the presentation or the meeting, or ask Kitty a question in the comment section, and we'll see if she can reply back. Thank you all so much for joining us at the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. Have a wonderful week.